The latest images from Mumbai as Cyclone Tauktae counts down to making landfall in South Gujarat. These are the latest images coming in from the city of Mumbai, where the destruction and damage has already been recorded even at COVID facilities in the city. The high tide is there, the sky is completely overcast, and everywhere you look in the city, it's completely grey with extremely heavy rainfall in some areas as we speak.
TMC supporters resort to violence again. Showdown outside CBI office in Kolkata. Stone pelting, clashes and chaos. Angry Mamta storms into CBI office. Three top TMC leaders arrested in Narada case. TMC fires political vendetta charge. Didi versus CBI dangal.
Thanks for staying with me here on 5 Live. I'm Shiv Arur. Let's get you straight to the top stories of the track. Heavy rains and winds lashing Mumbai as Cyclone Tauktae intensifies. Maharashtra Chief Minister apprises Prime Minister Modi of the situation. Gujarat on high alert, braces for landfall in just a few hours from now. Cyclone Tauktae damages Mumbai's jumbo COVID center in the Bandra Kurla complex. Patients shifted after center flooded with water. Vaccination also halted in Mumbai and Gujarat till tomorrow. After Dr. Reddy's, another Indian company ties up to manufacture the Sputnik V vaccine in India. Shilpa Medicare to produce 50 million doses of the vaccine in the next 12 months. After absconding for over a week, Navneet Kalra arrested in the Khan Market oxygen black marketing case. Delhi cops nab him from the farmhouse of his brother-in-law in Gurugram. Kerala imposes triple lockdown in 4 districts, reporting the highest number of COVID cases. Essential shops to open on alternate days. Special pass needed for house helps and nurses. As we speak, the heaviest rain and winds are lashing the city of Mumbai as Cyclone Tauktae intensifies into an extreme cyclone. On your screens are images from the city, a massive high tide as Cyclone Tauktae gets intense with each passing hour and minute. Heavy rains are continuing in Mumbai. Gusty winds have uprooted trees across the city. These images tell you the story of the impact that's being felt even right now. Now let's take you through the cyclone's track so far and where the effects have been felt. These are images from Tiruparapu in Tamil Nadu. You can see the impact of the cyclone here as well. Large-scale flooding has been experienced in this particular part of Tamil Nadu. Now we take you to this image from Uttar Kannada district in Karnataka, where high tide, a great deal of water ingress in the coastal areas of Uttar Kannada has already been experienced in coastal Karnataka. Hopefully the worst is behind the people of this particular area, but rains have continued since early this morning, inundating several of the low-lying areas. Now let's take you to these images from Valsad in Gujarat, where the cyclone has left a trail of imminent possible damage. These are images from the city where Rain has been happening, but the true damage of the cyclone will probably only be felt in a few hours from now. There are already heavy rains and gusty winds being felt in coastal South Gujarat and Saurashtra region. This is where the impact of the cyclone will be the hardest when it makes landfall in a few hours from now. Already heavy rains being experienced. Now let's take you elsewhere in Gujarat, to Surat for instance, where you can already see what the weather is like at this point of time. Heavy rain, heavy winds, all localities have closed down. Shops and establishments have also taken precautions as a result of flooding and very, very heavy dust storms during the imminent entry of the cyclone into Gujarat. And now I want to return to Mumbai for a moment, because that's where the current images are coming in from. Heavy rains and winds, as you can see, continuing to lash Mumbai as Cyclone Tauktae intensifies into an extreme phenomenon. The Indian Met Department has upgraded its warning to extremely heavy rainfall in Mumbai for the next few hours. The airport is shut. Gusty winds will continue to escalate up to 120 kilometers per hour winds. The heavy rainfall has caused waterlogging in the financial capital, with winds uprooting trees in multiple places. Several residential buildings have also been damaged due to heavy winds breaking windows. The Bandra-Worli Sea Link has been closed for traffic. The cyclone has also disrupted local train services in the city. The Mumbai airport has been shut in view of the cyclone till 6 p.m. at least. Prime Minister Modi has spoken to Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray on the cyclone situation just an hour ago.
And this is Mumbai's famous sea link. You can see the rising waves. The sea link has been closed for traffic, but the wind speed is high, and that is the reason why you're not allowed to go on the sea link. There are cases of trees uprooted, many branches have fallen down. Hardly any traffic on the road at this point of time, but at the same time you can see that the Coast Guard and the police is taking rounds on the Mumbai's various coasts, so that the people shouldn't venture out near this coast. At the same time, the BMC has asked people not to venture out at this point of time. They have closed down the vaccination. The COVID centers have been emptied at this point of time. The patients have been shifted to the hospital, especially on those patients who are on the oxygen. There are cranes which has been set up on the roads, so that if the trees are fallen, it can be shifted from there. There is a lot of work going on at this point of time, infrastructure work in Mumbai, but the cyclone, the heavy wind speed has hit all the work. It has completely stopped. It is expected that by the evening the wind speed will go down, the rains will stop, but there is an intermittent rain shower everywhere in Mumbai at this point of time. With cameraman Vaibhav, Sahil Joshi in Mumbai for India Today.
Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the cyclone Tauktae had been developing into a very severe cyclone off the Arabian Sea, has now reached approximately 120 kilometers away from Mumbai coast towards Gujarat. But in spite of that cyclone being so far, the entire city is facing heavy rain and heavy gusts of wind. Right now, there are these low-lying areas like Andheri subway. There are many low-lying areas in the city which are already inundated with water, which we generally see during the monsoon. But pre-monsoon, because of the cyclone, these areas are already inundated. With cameraman Prashant Patil in Mumbai, Vidya for India Today.
And the irony of the destruction being wrought by the cyclone is it has hit hardest in one of India's worst affected states when it comes to COVID. A COVID center, in fact, in Mumbai has been extensively damaged in the city due to heavy rains at the Bandra Kurla complex. Central Mumbai COVID patients have been shifted from this particular COVID center. Vidya sent us this report. She was right there, the first journalist on the spot.
I'm right now at the BKC area of Mumbai, and this is where a COVID center and a vaccination was set up. In 2020, the COVID center was made in the entire Wuhan style, wherein a lot of patients were treated here. But because of the entire cyclone that was to approach, the administration really had the foresight of really removing all the patients from here, closing the entire vaccination center, and they have really been proved right. Look at the condition of the center right now. The entire entrance is waterlogged. The covering that was there on not just on this entire path but also on the tents that you see, they have all been swept away. In fact, the barricades that you see here, the gutsy winds that the city has witnessed, that has really put all the barricades out, and you can really see the difficult condition that this entire COVID center is in right now, and the vaccination center, which is the reason why most people feel that it will take a while before all this can be really restored, before the vaccination center and the COVID center can really start again. With cameraman Praveen Patil in Mumbai, Vidya for India Today.
We've got reporters who've been bringing you the live commentary on the cyclone as it has wrought havoc. But there are citizens in the city of Mumbai, viewers of India Today as well, who've been facing the brunt of this cyclone. Some of their houses have been damaged. It's been a pretty ugly sight since early this morning. So I have with us our very brave reporting team from Mumbai, Sahil Joshi, Vidya and Pankaj Upadhyay. I also have joining us live from the city of Mumbai. We've got 4 Mumbaikars joining us. They've been braving the cyclone as well from their individual localities across the city. I want to introduce you to Soma Mangnani, Mitali Sagar, Siddharth Singh and Akhil Sippi are all Mumbaikars. These are people who've seen a cyclone just a few months ago during the pandemic. So this is effectively the second cyclone the city is experiencing in this particular pandemic. Soma, Mitali, Akhil, Siddharth, just continue to be with me for just a couple of minutes. I want you also to listen to what our reporters are bringing to us right now. It might be useful as well because there's a lot of information flying around. Let's get the latest right now. Sahil, extreme heavy rainfall. The damage is quite visible in all parts of Mumbai. What's the latest?
Right now I'm standing at near central Mumbai, and as you can see that gusty winds are actually pulling me back from where I'm standing at this point of time. During Nisarga last time, the winds were not that speedy. It never crossed 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. But right now what we are facing is almost 100 kilometers per hour wind, the gusty wind. More importantly, the airport has been asked to be to shut down for till 6 p.m. What the meteorological department has said that the cyclone has moved towards Gujarat. It's towards northwest. But the wind band, which is around the epicenter, it's still, the Mumbai is still going through that, and that is the reason why what Mumbai is seeing is this, extremely gusty wind flow. You can see here, this is a panorama of Mumbai. The rain has kind of stopped, but as you can hear the voice of wind flowing around here.
Absolutely.
At the same time, what has happened is that the field COVID centers were actually under danger, and that is the reason why the people were shifted out of there.
In fact,
and what Aditya Thackeray today took a press conference and said that it will take at least 10 days to repair the damages which has happened at the
That's right, Sahil. In fact, we have images of that COVID center. A member of your team, Vidya, was among the first journalists to reach there. Vidya, this is a COVID center which we've been reporting from for the last many days. People have been getting vaccinated there, completely destroyed now.
Totally. In fact, it's not just, the superficial damage that has been done. There is a lot of damage. In fact, the entire flooring, there's water inundation into that COVID center. Apart from that, just the coverings of those entire COVID center have really been, swept away.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a huge damage. Obviously, most of the entire production of it, the tents and the entire center was done with taking on a lot of things on hire. But certainly with the damages being done, there will be renewed effort that will have to really go into seeing to it that these damages are recovered soon and that patients can really get back there and get treated as they were being treated earlier before the cyclone really came our way.
Pankaj, what has been your experience? We've been seeing very, very dramatic reports by you. You got almost Okay. Pankaj is going to join us in just a moment. Mustafa, we saw many images where you were nearly blown off your feet while you were reporting, and those winds have only gotten harder and heavier now. Mustafa.
Yes, of course. We'll just clear the screen of the camera for a moment, and we are showing you visuals from the gateway of India. You can see
yes.
Entire area from where tourists used to enter has been shattered. The other side, if you'll come out a bit, and you'll see on the left hand side of me the Taj Mahal Hotel. You can see in this visuals will Mumbaikars remember for a long time, because the road has been completely blocked. You can see on the right hand side it's such a huge tree which has collapsed on the main road, blocking the road which leads to Taj Hotel in Mumbai. So this is iconic places of Mumbai, but completely battered by the rains and wind since last morning, which still continue here. Back to you.
Mustafa, Sahil and Vidya, please stay safe. We'll keep coming back to you. This is a minute-by-minute developing story. Thank you very much for getting us those reports, those images live only on India Today. These are not older images. These are images from the latest moments that our cameras have been rolling in the city. Let's bring in our friends from Mumbai, citizens, common citizens who've, had to have not just experienced a very difficult year, but are now experiencing their second cyclone during the pandemic. Doesn't happen very often. Thank you all of you for giving us your time. Coco, I'd like to start with you. We understand that you went outside, you stepped outside. Heavy winds, you were barely able to go outside. What did you see? What was it like?
So, in fact, I wanted to park my car somewhere else, because my car parking initially was under a tree. So when the wind started going crazy, I wanted to make sure that my car is parked in a more safe area. And I went down with my helper, with my servant. Luckily, she's a full-time lady, and another helper who came with me. When I tried first time, I wasn't even able to get to my car. So I had to wait for 10 minutes in the lobby area before I could go out there and have someone carry the umbrella. Otherwise, I would be soaking wet. You know? So I went and I parked my car, and it was crazy windy, and some of the pots and everything in someone's balcony had flown off and come away. And I think you can hear my windows rattling, So the wind is like pretty bad, and it's really sad, as it is because of COVID. We are home, and now because of the cyclone as well, our maids and everything.
Absolutely.
The city
and
just
everyone's
comes to a
affected.
standstill.
Everyone's affected. I mean, we all know how Mumbai comes to a standstill even with a little bit of rain. So we can just imagine how bad it is now. Mitali, what are you seeing around you? We understand that everyone's stuck at home. COVID guidelines. People falling ill. Families to take care of,
really
and all of this happening. That was for Mitali. Coco, I'll just come back to you.
So we've actually been a family who has had COVID in the last few months, and now to look at what our country is being brought down to, not just because of COVID, but because of all the infrastructure that's been built to tackle COVID being brought down to its knees because of the cyclone. It's really frightening. And I mean, we are still living a certain amount of privilege. Like, I'm still in a brick and mortar building in a house.
Yes.
We had some flooding. We had some pretty severe flooding in the house, but that's nothing compared to what most of the country is going to face because of the cyclone. So it's extremely frightening. I've actually seen planks of wood fly by the window, which has probably broken off from some building or from some construction site. It was literally like four floors above in the air, just being whipped across the sky. And I've never seen anything like that. A pretty ancient tree in our building has been ripped out of its roots, and it's actually blocked the entrance into our compound. So no one can exit or enter currently until we get someone is able to come and rectify all the major damage that has happened. But again, this is nothing compared to what most of the city is facing currently, and I'm frightened for the population right now.
And the reason I just wanted to tell all of our, all of you joining me that the reason we've gotten the four of you on board on this show is because I can promise you that India today is reflecting the voices of the Mumbaikars on the ground as well. Those who are affected on the outside and are really seeing all of this damage. So, we wanted to see, get both sides, even because, like I said, even those who live in brick and mortar buildings have seen a certain amount of damage. So there is a level of, concern about that as well. Akhil, I heard you tried to take a walk outside. You were, practically blown off your feet in the wind as well. Did you see much damage where you went?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like deja vu, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just like what happened last year. I was out at about noon today, and I was heading to my friend's house to work out in his gym, and it was very difficult walking just a few blocks. I live in Sagar Sangeet. It's a tall building in Colaba, and in any case, we're right on the ocean, and it's very windy. But this was something else. These conditions are blustery conditions. The winds were violent, and you could just hear this constant sound and noise. It's not just the rain, but it's these violent winds that were quite terrifying, to be honest.
Absolutely. Siddharth, most people were speaking to say that compared to Cyclone Nisarga last year, this one feels much, much worse, especially because of the winds and quite apart from the heavy rain. Has that been your experience as well?
Absolutely. It's been complete madness. And like Akhil said as well, there's been incessant rain, but more than that, it's the high-speed winds which have really impacted the city. And I felt it in my balcony as well. It's caused a decent amount of destruction. But as Mithali said, we're still coming from a privileged sect. And really my prayers go out to those who are really suffering. And I really hope that everyone is staying safe.
It's so ironic that it should happen at a time like this. Coco, you wanted to share something with us. You had a story to share with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, 2-3 things, in the sense that my cable went, so I can't even see the news. I can't even see this. And so I had no way to get the outside news. And then my internet went. And so I had to cancel my appointments with all my Reiki patients, like who I give Reiki treatments to. I had to cancel all of that. And then to make things even worse, somebody has let go of a maid in my building. And so she has no place to stay, literally. And she was in the cold down, and she literally had no place to go. And when I went down for my car, I told her to come upstairs and be with me. And she was without a job. I knew that, but to see her in the rain like that with no place to go.
I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine how many people there must be out there, without a place. Yeah, absolutely.
It was really sad to see her like that. And I got her up, and by the grace of God, I don't know if it's just coincidence or what, but I had spoken about getting her a job 2-3 days back, and someone just called and confirmed and told her when she was sitting upstairs with me that, we can give you a full-time job and a place to stay.
I'm really glad you were able to help, Coco. That's really nice. I mean, times like this make things even worse for those, who are living on the fringes. Mithali, we just had a report, I don't know if you were able to catch it, of a COVID center that has been completely inundated and destroyed. I mean, that's one of the things about this cyclone. It comes, a cyclone is never welcome, but it couldn't have possibly come at a worse time for India and especially for Maharashtra.
It's like what people say, that we're living in this Kalyug phase, where it's just a time of destruction, both natural and man-made. And, I've heard this time and time again from people, but it completely rings true just now when you hear about all this and you see all this happening around you. This particular COVID center that you're referring to is very close to my husband's office. So He works at GSW. And he was meant to leave for work this morning. And at the last minute, he came back upstairs and said, the winds seem much too strong. I don't feel safe going. I'm going to stay at home. And I'm so grateful that he had that last minute change of heart, because not only is it dangerous to be out on the streets currently, but, as you said, like, they've shut down the ceiling. The COVID center's literally been practically blown off.
Yeah.
And it would have just been an unsafe environment to be in outside on your own. So yeah, definitely at a time when we need stability, something like this just coming and ripping the heart right out of the body it's frightening.
Absolutely. Akhil, you've seen some of the damage that has happened inside apartment buildings as well. Can you describe some of it? I've had friends tell me about windows shattering and, people being injured inside houses and things like that. Has that sort of thing been happening where you are as well?
We've had our windows, even though they're double glazed, rattling all night. What I can do is, in fact, show you and walk towards the window. And like I said, it's not much rain, but it's the wind. And even though it's a lot less than what it was between 1 and 3 this afternoon, it is settling down. Gloomy conditions. There's a high tide. And I completely agree with Sid and everyone else who've been saying that we're really fortunate. And this is the time that we really need to come together and help those who are absolutely suffering in this situation, because I really can't imagine what they're going through, not living in concrete structures.
Absolutely. I can assure you that India Today has got its eyes on everything that's happening in the city of Mumbai right now. We'll be asking the questions. We'll be making sure that our reporters can help wherever it is possible for us to help. Coco, one last question to you. To Mithali, to you. Families coming out of COVID at this point of time, having to cope with the cyclone. Yours is one such family as well. How does all of that feel? It just feels very I feel strange asking in this way, but how are you dealing with that?
I think it's extremely unsettling because you just about start to feel a little more stable, a little more safe in your space, and then something like this happens, and again it shakes you from the inside, and you start to feel like anything can happen. And I have an 8-month-old baby. Yeah. So just trying to not be near any windows, as you guys were discussing with him. I've moved his prams. I've moved his crib. We're just basically trying to secure him, because right now all I can think about is keeping my baby safe. Yeah. So we're just trying to do what we can to make sure the house is safe for him. Windows have been leaking, water's been seeping into the house, so just blocking all that out. It's just basically to ensure that no electric units, no electricity can be touching water, because it can be as simple as water seeping into your house and someone getting electrocuted. Absolutely. So we just all have to be extremely, extremely vigilant right now and be mindful of others, yes, of course, but also mindful of the space that you're in. And of course, try to be as mentally brave as possible. We have to stay strong. We have to try and be positive. It's a scary time for everybody, but I think our minds can do wonders if we really try to stay positive.
I wish all of you the very best. I hope you stay safe. I hope there's no further damage in the city of Mumbai, but in Maharashtra in general as well. We'll be tracking the cyclone as it makes landfall in a couple of hours from now in Gujarat. But thank you. I know these are difficult times. I'm glad each of you has acknowledged the privilege that all people like us share. But I can promise you that we're telling the stories of those who don't have the same privileges that we do. But it is important to reflect all voices. So I thank you for being with me and taking the time out and being with me on my show today. Thank you very much, Mithali, Coco, Akhil and Siddharth for being with me here. Well, moving away from Mumbai to Goa now, same story there. Gusty winds, heavy rains have been continuing to lash several parts of Goa. Power supply continues to be disrupted in large parts of the state. These are images that a viewer sent us from their home in Goa. As a matter of fact, hundreds of houses have suffered major damage due to the cyclonic winds of Tauktae. Some highways were blocked at several points and trees uprooted. However, the roads were cleared by the disaster management teams. There was a power disruption for some time at the Goa Medical College and Hospital, which India Today has been reporting on, where COVID-19 patients have been undergoing treatment and large numbers have died due to oxygen shortages. The Chief Minister, however, has said that the power outage did not affect the functioning of the hospital. The Goa airport continues to remain shut. Home Minister Amit Shah has spoken to the Goa Chief Minister on this developing situation. And finally, let's tell you about what's happening in Gujarat, because this is where landfall will be taking place in a few hours from now. It's on red alert as Cyclone Tauktae inches closer towards the precipitate. As we speak, the cyclone is heading towards the center of the southern bulge of Gujarat and is expected to make landfall near Diu by this evening. It's been predicted that the cyclone will make landfall between Porbandar and Bhavnagar district anywhere between 8 and 11 p.m. tonight. As a precautionary measure, the Kandla airport has been shut for commercial operations till 2 p.m. tomorrow. However, emergency and rescue flights will be allowed to land. The National Disaster Response Force has deployed over 50 teams in the state for rescue and relief efforts. Let's go straight across to India Today's Gopi Manyar, who's live with us. Gopi, Cyclone Tauktae का landfall होगा कुछ ही देर में. क्या preparations हैं अभी गुजरात में? Summarize for us that, Gopi.
बिल्कुल शिव, आपको बता दूं कि गुजरात में जो साइक्लोन का असर है वो अब देखना शुरू हो चुका है. आपको दिखाते हैं कि यहाँ पे समुद्र काफ़ी उफान पर है. तो वही अगर दक्षिण गुजरात की बात की जाए, जो कि महाराष्ट्र के एडजॉइनिंग जितने भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट आते हैं, जिसमें सूरत, वलसाड़, वापी, नवसारी, इन सभी जगहों पे साइक्लोन का जो असर है वो अब देखने मिलने लगा है. वहाँ पे जो तेज़ हवाएं हैं वो चल रही है, तेज़ बारिश हो रही है और समुद्र भी काफ़ी उफान पर है. और ख़ास करके बात की जाए सौराष्ट्र के जो ये कोस्टल इलाके हैं, तो मेट डिपार्टमेंट के मुताबिक ये साइक्लोन जो है वो रात को 8 बजे से लेके 11 बजे के बीच में कभी भी टकरा सकता है, जिसके चलते लोगों को ये कहा गया है कि वो अपने घरों के अंदर ही रहे. एक और जहां कोरोना है और दूसरी ओर ये साइक्लोन की मार. साथ ही अस्पताल की बात की जाए तो अस्पताल में भी एक्स्ट्रा प्रिकॉशंस लिए जा रहे हैं, जिसमें खास तौर पर जो ऑक्सीजन है, क्योंकि अस्पतालों को बताया गया है कि ऑक्सीजन का 24 आवर्स एक्स्ट्रा चले उतना स्टॉक करके रखे, ताकि अगर कल हालात ऐसे हैं कि तेज़ बारिश है और हवाएं चल रही है, तो वैसे में अगर ऑक्सीजन की सप्लाई ना हो पाए तो पेशेंट को कहीं पे किसी भी तरीके का नुकसान ना हो, ये बात का भी ख्याल रखा गया है. साथ ही एनडीआरएफ की जो टीम है उसे भी डिप्लॉय किया गया और इंडियन आर्मी जो है, आर्मी की करीब 10 टीम जो है वो अहमदाबाद और जामनगर जो बेस स्टेशन है वहाँ से साइक्लोनिक जितने भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट है वहाँ पे आने के लिए निकल चुकी है. जो रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन है एनडीआरएफ के साथ साथ आर्मी भी इसमें साथ रहेगी, क्योंकि सौराष्ट्र में इसका सबसे ज्यादा और वर्स्ट इफेक्ट देखने मिलने वाला है.
Gopi, stay safe. Thank you very much for joining us right there on the front lines of where landfall is expected to take place shortly after 8 tonight. Gopi and her team in Gujarat will be bringing you the very latest imagery and analysis as Cyclone Tauktae makes landfall.